immediately afterwards. So if you miss the live, you don't have to worry because it will be stored in my Instagram, IGTV, and you can watch it whenever you want. Okay, so hello. I'm so happy you're here. Um, okay, today I'm going to be talking to you about star seeds and what I know about star seeds and what I have discovered about star seeds. And um, more than that, I'm essentially coming out of the closet, right? Because I know that this isn't exactly the kind of content that I usually talk about, the kind of thing that I usually talk about, star seeds and hello everybody, hello. These kind of more esoteric spiritual things. I've like to keep things very logical and practical, and I have tried to stay out of the realm of channeling and esoteric stuff for a long time, and I'll tell you a little bit more about why I've done that as we go along. But now is a new time, it's a new place, it's a new area of life, and we are ready to connect on a different level. So I am showing up, and like I said, I'm going to talk about this, and then I'll tell you kind of why now I've decided to talk about this and what this sort of means for the collective as far as I'm aware going forward. So backing all the way up. Lots of people talk about this starseed thing, and people saying that they feel like they're from the Pleiades, or they feel like they're from Orion, and they feel like they definitely feel, some people feel like they remember lives on Atlantis or Lemuria, and people even remembering past lives on Earth, and this kind of thing. And all of this never really made a whole lot of sense to me, because when I would tune in and tap in and say, like, okay, I want to remember my past lives, I want to remember if I lived on a different planet, or if I'm a star seed from somewhere, all that I would see was source. And I would only remember that I was at source and that I was a human. So I don't personally remember past lives as a human being, nor do I remember past lives anywhere else in the solar system or different dimensions, whatever you want to call it. And again, to me, the thing that made the most sense is that we're all from the same place. We're all from source. That we're not different, right? Like this idea that we're all separate and we're from different places, and you're this kind of star seed and I'm this kind of star seed and you're a human and that never really made sense to me, because ultimately, in my perspective, in my perception, we are all one. Okay? And that has been my spiritual and also human experience for my entire life. Something that you guys may not know about me, because I haven't like shared a whole lot about this. But yeah, like I was born a totally open channel, and I think I've talked about this in my YouTube videos a little bit, of just this, I could not, for a very, very, very long time, understand the difference between myself and another person. Like the boundaries between me and someone else were so blurry to me that I have been able to feel people's emotions. I've been able to put myself in other people's bodies. Like I could put my hands on someone else's body and feel in my body what their body feels like. I could read people's minds. Like it's kind of annoying for my husband. We can be like walking and talking, and he will literally think about something else that's not what we're talking about, and I can feel that he drops off. And I'm like, what? Oh, what did you just think about? Like he can't even have a thought without me knowing about it. And so this has been my experience. So a lot of this kind of, we're from different places and we are star seeds and this is a star seed and this isn't a star seed and all that stuff, just like I say, never really made any sense to me, because to me we're all one. We're all from the same place. We're all from source, and there's, what else is there? But then my good friend Randy Moss from Randy Moss Wellness, Free Spirit Academy, she has just been like, no, like what is this what is this starseed thing? Why is everyone so on this starseed thing? Like, can you, like, tell me what this is? And like I said, every time I tried to tap into it, I was just like, we're all from the same place. It's just, I don't know what to say. So this time, I went into a meditation and I asked, I was like, okay, can you, and again, you, who am I talking to? I just opened my channel and I ask the universe, I ask whatever it is that speaks to me for answers, and this is the answer that I got this time. So essentially what they were saying is that yes, we are all from source. Everyone on this planet, everyone in every other dimension, everyone everywhere is from source. We're all from the same source. There is only one thing, right? Consciousness is having an experience of itself through observing itself. And it's the separation that is allowing consciousness to learn about itself. All the individuation that is happening from source consciousness being complete unity consciousness, no recognition of any other part, there is nothing outside of me, all the way down to kind of our third dimensional perspective of there is only me and I am completely isolated and there's nothing else and we're not connected at all. This is all how source is understanding itself. So we have to think of it like this. There are the 12 dimensions, and we've all heard of that. And that's basically the 12 different individuated levels that source is viewing itself from. Okay? So the 12 dimensions are the 12 different layers, we could say, that source is viewing itself from. And now, again, we can look at ourselves and consciousness like a tapestry. It's at once one tapestry. And each thread in the tapestry is an individual thread. So there is no separation in the ultimate sense. We are the tapestry. But in the relative sense, there is each individual string that makes up the tapestry, and that's what separation is. It is source again, having itself, looking at itself through all these different separated perspectives. Okay, so the 12 dimensions are the medium through which consciousness is viewing itself. So consciousness is viewing itself in the 12th dimension, the 11th dimension, the 10th dimension, the 9th dimension, all the way through. And each one of us, okay, we are each a thread in that tapestry. And the thread that is you exists in every single dimension. So there's a version of you in the third dimension here, having this earth experience. There's a version of you in the fourth dimension. There's a version of you in the fifth dimension. There's a version of you in the sixth dimension. Your tapestry, your string of what makes your soul you, the cluster of everything that is put together to be you, exists in every single dimension. So the universe is looking at itself through you, through your experience, in every single dimension. Now, how does this relate to starseeds? Basically, what we're saying here is this. When people say, I feel like I'm from somewhere else, I feel like I am an angel, I feel like I'm from the Pleiades, I feel like I'm from this star system, what they actually mean is that is the dimension in which your soul became self-aware. Because remember, the closer we get to source, the more we are in unity consciousness. The less we are seeing ourselves as separate. The more we are in the perspective of being a part of a collective. The farther we get from source consciousness, right, the farther we get down the dimensional layers, the more individuated we become. And so it depends on where in the individuation of your soul, as you came down through the dimensions, as you were represented in each one of these dimensions, the place at which your soul went, oh, hey, I'm not just a part of the whole. I'm an individuated consciousness. The dimension in which you became self-aware, your soul, which is existing in all dimensions at this point, that is where your soul was born. Okay? So people on this earth right now who feel like they are angels became self-aware in the 5th or 4th dimension. People who feel like they're from the Pleiades became self-aware in the 6th or 7th. There are people on earth right now, the Earth Genesis people, what I call them, that did not become self-aware until Earth, until this 3rd dimension. So these are the people who walk around and literally have no idea that they're connected to anything else. Okay, so when we look as light workers around the world and we see these people who don't understand that they're connected to other humans, who don't understand that they're connected to the earth, that seem to literally have no idea that there is any connection between themselves and other people and other things, you can look at them and say, okay, their soul just became self-aware here in the 3rd dimension. They literally don't have an experience of feeling connected to anyone or anything, because the parts of their soul that are in every other dimension are completely involved in unity consciousness. It didn't individuate. They didn't recognize themselves. They are having an individuated experience for the first time here on earth. And that's pretty traumatizing. So that's why these people walk around so deeply traumatized and seem to, like I say, have no ability to connect to God. They don't feel like they can connect to Source. They don't feel like they can connect to each other. They're hungry ghosts. They are very lonely. They feel isolated in relationships. They feel misunderstood. They're just like constantly looking to consume because they don't feel connected on any level. They feel completely disconnected. They became self-aware on this level. So for them, the first step towards enlightenment is having a unity experience where they have to do something to break that perception that they are isolated and alone and an individual. They are literally not aware that they are connected to anything higher than themselves. And on earth, in this separation, like very dense separation experience, enlightenment is becoming aware of your connection. Becoming aware of your, I'm not just myself. I'm not just me. There's this whole other world that I'm deeply connected to. In pretty much every other dimension, this is a bit kind of funny, the first step towards enlightenment in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th is understanding that you're an individual. The exact opposite of what enlightenment is on earth, your soul is going through in the other dimensions. They have to recognize, you have to recognize your individual nature in order to be awakening. Because again, remember, the ultimate goal is Source to know itself. You are Source, I am Source, we are all Source. I am an individuated fractal of the all that is. And through me having my experience and being able to observe myself and being able to observe my life, I am having a Source experience. Because that's essentially what Source is doing. It's just observing itself through this life experience. So This is why, to me, for a really long time, this idea that we had to like push to like lose our ego and lose your identity so that you could feel oneness made no sense to me. Because I was like, what do you mean? Because I didn't understand that not everyone was having a connected experience the way that I was. I did not understand that I was feeling everyone's emotions and I was feeling everyone's thoughts and I was feeling everyone's bodies, and that I didn't feel like an individual. I felt completely responsible for everyone and myself because I was not having a separation experience. You see? Yes, all action is teaching for God. And so, but it makes sense to me now. Yes, we are already God. That's exactly it. And this is why I teach self-love. Because there is no separation between you and God. There is no person on the planet who is not God. There is no thing in the universe, in the multiverse, that is not source. We're just having this really traumatic separation experience. Yeah? It's all one thing. It's all one. All right. But we're having this separation experience so that God can know itself, so that consciousness can know itself. So that's kind of like the Earth Genesis people. And now the reason that I kind of wanted to come on and talk about this today is because I'm getting the message, and a lot of my friends are getting the message, that things are really shifting. Okay, so now I'm going to go into the fact that I know that I am not here to talk to everybody. And nobody is here to talk to everybody, but I'm definitely not here to be a spiritual teacher for everybody. I have been, and if you've been following me for a while or you kind of know me in real life, you'll know that I am real freaky and real woo-woo, and I have been holding back a lot of that. I haven't shared a lot of that part of my life with YouTube or Instagram or anyone. Like I say, I've tried to keep things very practical and reasonable and logical, but that's not the life experience that I'm having. And I have kept this all private and personal and inside for a very good reason. Okay, because part of the experience we are having here on the planet is also advancing and evolving our souls. Okay, so like this idea of ascension and the idea of the fall. When we say we feel like we're in a fallen world, like we're here on Earth and it's like a fallen experience, what we're really saying is that we remember being in higher dimensions where things were lighter and we were more unified and we understood more things and we had a broader perspective. So we had a broader perspective, but not a deeper perspective. So that's what we're remembering when we say this feels fallen and this feels heavy and this feels dense and this Earth experience feels really like lonely. Oh, sissy, you're here, you're safe, you don't have to say anything. Okay. So we're feeling like we're having this dense experience, and we are. And part of that is learning how to anchor what we know in the higher dimensions in this physical dense reality. And that is really tough. Okay? So all of my angels, all of my earth angels, everyone who identifies as, and I'm going to talk about this in a second, like how to like kind of figure out where you're from. You're already going to know. It's going to resonate with you. But like all of my earth angels, all of my Pleiadians, my 6th and 7th dimension people, and especially my 8th, 9th, and 10th dimensional people, you are going to have had a life experience where you felt really separate. And you were not surrounded by people that understood you. You were surrounded by a bunch of people who didn't get it, who were not having the same experience as you, kind of just like me. They were mostly Earth Genesis people. And you were having this totally other experience, and no one understood you, and no one got it, and you didn't understand yourself, and you got really traumatized. right? Really told, really shamed, you shouldn't be how you are, you shouldn't be doing what you're doing. And this was a season that we had to go through on the planet of being isolated and feeling cut off. And a lot of us felt cut off from source, from God. Like, you may have felt like you should have been able to feel something, and it felt like something was missing, and you couldn't connect, and you really wanted to connect, or you'd have experiences of connecting, right? Like, you could take ayahuasca, or you could fast, or you could do these things and have these moments of connection, these moments of feeling it, and then it would go away, and you would just be like, why can't I hold it? Why can't I keep it? And this is what we were going through. We were all being given this opportunity to be isolated and to go within, to remember who we were and to remember what we are, and to connect with that without outside help. Okay? So this is, but now I want to kind of start to differentiate a little bit, because this is where things get a little bit funky. The earth angels, so the people that your souls were born in the fourth and fifth dimension, you guys have been the first wave of people to come out of the closet, essentially. You guys have been the ones showing the way to say, we're the angels, we're not from here, and we're going to start to reveal that we're not having the same experience as you. Like, and this is where all the empath groups and I'm super sensitive, I feel things that other people don't feel. I see things that I'm an empath. I'm sensitive. That's you guys. You're the earth angels. You came out in the first wave. You've been saying, like, okay, no, we're not going to pretend like we're not like this. And you've been finding each other. Yes? In your angelness, the angels have been finding each other. Now, the people that you angels have been going to on earth for mentoring, yes? That's the second wave. Those people were the sixth and seventh dimension, the people who were born in the sixth and seventh dimension. So the version of you that's living in the fourth dimension prays to these people who are to these souls that are in the sixth and the seventh dimension. They're the next up from you. They're the guides. Okay? So we can even say that for all of human history, humans have prayed to angels, because what they were actually connecting to were the fourth and fifth dimension beings, just one step higher than them. And the angels were guiding the humans. And so this is why when humans think of ascension, we think of putting on the light body, we think of the rainbow body, because in the fourth dimension, it's all kaleidoscopic colors. We think of this rainbow, everything's this rainbow crystalline light body for ascension from human life to the next life. So from the third to the fourth, fifth dimension, that's what that is. So you're praying to angels. And now we have a whole bunch of incarnated angels, so people who are having an earth experience, but remembering, connecting with the lifetime that's happening currently right now, because time is an illusion for us here on earth. You're connecting to your angel self. You're actually grounding in that angel part of you that's in the fourth and fifth dimension into the third dimension. Yeah? Does that make sense? You're grounding in. You're having an awareness of yourself, not just as a human, not just in the third dimension. You're connecting to the strand of you that's in the fourth and the fifth dimension, that's having an angel experience. So now you're uniting these two things. And like I say, the people that you have gone to for coaching and mentoring and guidance were the sixth and seventh dimensional people. The people who were born in the Pleiades, the people that were born in the star systems, that are having a lifetime there. They were your guides. And they, on this planet, yes, are the guides for the angels. Yes? Okay. So, and yes, plant medicine it carries a vibration that blasts us out of our individuated consciousness and into a higher dimension. That's all that plant medicine does. It reminds us of this vibration of connection that we all have, that we all can tap into on our own. And this is why plant medicine needs to be used very, 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 very responsibly and minimally. Because you can get addicted to the blasting and you don't ground it in. I'll have a whole other talk on this. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's bad. All I'm saying is if you get addicted to it, meaning you cannot connect without it, you're abusing it, and it's not helping you evolve. It's only helping you evolve if it reminds you of that experience, and then you can start to put yourself in that experience by yourself because it reminded you. And that's exactly what a light work session should be. If someone comes into your energy field and shifts things around and gives you a light work session or helps you see something in yourself, if they're not giving you tools for how to ground that in yourself so you can be aware and now you're going to work with whatever you saw to change your actual life, because we're still in the third dimension that has very specific rules and we're out of alignment when we don't live in alignment with them, so we can be put into alignment for a second, feel what that feels like, and then we go back to living exactly how we were living. Everything's going to go back to the way it was. Okay? So that's that. So anyways, the fifth and sixth dimensional people have been the next wave of people to kind of start to come out of the closet. We're following in the angels' footsteps. We've been their guides, we've been their mentors, and now we're starting to come out and be like, hey, yeah, we're different too. We're not the angels, though. We're not like the earth angels. We're not having the same kind of experience as the earth angel are having. I've been the mentor of the earth angel for my entire life. So these are going to be the people, like I say, the starseed people are really, really physically sensitive, like over the top physically sensitive, have been sick their entire lives probably, or they kind of live like a half human life for like a little while and then something, right, like they were pretty connected, their parents would say there was something weird about them forever, and then all of a sudden in their teens or their 20s it was like totally different. Like they can't hold down a normal job, they can't go to school, they can't do any of the normal stuff. They're completely on their own. They're not empaths. They're something else. And like I say, they are having this experience where they tend to be the guides for the earth angels. And they have been supporting the angels in the shadows. Like really not showing themselves. They tend to be the kind of like they hadn't been showing themselves up until now. Okay, so that's where the star seeds are coming up. So that's what that is. Okay, you've been living as an earth angel guide. And you, maybe once or twice in your life, have come into contact with someone who's 8th, 9th, or 10th dimensional being. Okay? And that is the next wave of people who are now coming out. These are the people who did not have a mother or a father. Or their mother or their father were not capable of being mothers or fathers. And they essentially became little adults almost immediately. Like these people were born adults and then have been the mothers and the fathers of everyone they've ever known for their entire lives. The 8th, 9th, and 10th dimensional people are the mystics. The people who have been having transcendental experiences for their entire life and just like kind of hiding it in the closet. And I think a lot of the time too, people who, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and just say this, that when we end up with things like really dramatic schizophrenia and like hearing voices and things like this is the 8th, 9th, and 10th dimensional people not being grounded and having such a traumatic experience that it just didn't stick. Like it's going to be something that's like really traumatic and they're going to have to come back next lifetime and do it again. So these are the people now, the 8th, 9th, and 10th dimensional people, are the ones who have been really quietly working the body workers, the people who literally, like I say, have never had a separation experience, have been in other people's experience their entire lives, have been feeling one with everyone forever, and have no idea what people are talking about with this whole, like, I don't connect to God, I don't know what this is. These are the people who have especially physically, been like, I need to lighten my body. I need to get rid of this weight. There can't, like, I need to be light. I need to be of the light. But at the same time, they're not afraid of the darkness. So another thing too, the earth angels tend to just be very afraid of the darkness. Like, it's the first time they've ever seen darkness, and everything of the darkness just freaks them out completely. They need their fifth, sixth, or their sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th dimensional guides to help them, because they're like, seriously, what is this? Why are these humans hurting each other? I do not understand this. This is so freaking weird to me. I have no idea what this is. I have no idea how to handle this. And all I want to do is spread love and light, and I don't want to talk about the darkness, because I don't even understand that that exists. Because in pretty much every other dimension, it doesn't. So those are the earth angels. The Pleiadians and the sixth and seventh dimensional people, again, tend to be more okay with the darkness. They're kind of weaving in and out, and they kind of like slink around it. Like, they don't really interact with it too much, and they tend to find their tribe, and they just live their life. And then the ninth, 10th, and the eighth, ninth, 10th dimensional people, like I say, are the ones who are the mystics. Like, they are like transcendental experience. They are literally channeling things. They'll know everything about you as soon as you, I didn't teach about this stuff. But like I said, I'm going to talk about why I'm talking about this now. So they've been having these mystical experiences and essentially just not talking about it because it wasn't safe. It wasn't safe to come out of the closet as one of these people up until right now. Okay, so like I said, part of the reason everyone has been having such a hard time and feeling so isolated and feeling so alone is because we have been cut off from our guidance. Especially the 8th, ninth, and 10th dimensional people have been having a very intense experience of knowing all this stuff we don't know why we know it, being connected to God and having these transcendental experiences without having to take drugs. Like, it was nothing we did, it was just part of it. Being all like, there's no boundary between you and me, and feeling disconnected to source and our guides. And so for me, I was born into a Christian household, and I was a Christian mystic. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know that wasn't what everyone else was experiencing. But I would literally sit in my room and channel Jesus. Like, I had an experience of talking to Jesus every day. I was 11 when I went on my first juice fast, because I could feel that there was some disconnect between me and God, and that it was my body that was holding me back, that this body was too heavy, that there was something blocking it when I was 11. Like, it wasn't about being fat, it wasn't about anything like that. I hadn't gone into any of that territory yet. It was literally like, I feel like I should be able to hear God, and I can't, and there's something weird about this. I forced my parents to let me get baptized when I was 7 because I was having all these mystical experiences that I didn't know were mystical experiences. So like I say, God would tell me, or source would tell me, or whatever. I would prophesy over all my friends, and I was completely correct about all of it. I read everyone's future. Like I said, could hear everyone's thoughts. I could feel everyone's emotions. I didn't know that was a weird experience. I didn't know that wasn't what everyone else was experiencing. So I didn't talk about it because I didn't even realize that was weird. So this is part of the reason I haven't talked a lot about this stuff, is because it's only in the last couple of years that I've even realized and recognized that my experience has been different than everyone else's. Like I say, I didn't understand why people felt like they needed to have, like, strive to have an experience of not being themselves to feel connected to God. Because I was like, what are you talking about? Like, you can feel connected to God and be yourself easily. Like, what? But that's because I didn't understand that everyone else was having such an individuated experience. They weren't, they did not recognize that they were a part of a greater whole. They felt like they were just their individual self. And I've never had that experience. I don't know what that's like. I mean, like, I've had moments of it, but, and it was horrifying, and I can understand why everyone is so freaked out when you feel like you're alone when you go inside or when you're by yourself. But I don't generally live that life, okay? So that was happening. And then same thing with me is I didn't really have caregivers. I became my caregiver's caregivers. So this is what I'm saying. I don't prove that they're real ideas, Todd. But Pleiadians, this stuff, how can we prove that they are real ideas? I don't think that they are real ideas in the sense that this is how we're conceptualizing that there's a version of ourselves in every single dimension. That's what it is. Which I don't know that we live an actual life on the Pleiades. But that's how our human understanding is understanding that there is a version of me in the 10th dimension, in the 11th dimension, in the 12th dimension. And we personify our human experience onto that because that's all we know. Yes? But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's actually what's happening. But this is how we're conceptualizing it. So this is part of the reason I've never really talked about it, because I do think that this is all metaphor. It's metaphor for the fact that each and every single one of us has a version of ourselves, the thread of consciousness that we are, that exists in every dimension. That's all it is. And we're trying to conceptualize it, and we're projecting our human experience onto it as a way to just understand. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's what it is, that it's literally that. Like that there's literally a version of you that has literal wings, that's in this kaleidoscopic. We don't really know what the other dimensions are like. I don't know that our human minds can really actually understand that. But it's just to say, this is how we're conceptualizing it. This is how we're personifying it. This is how we're understanding it at our current level of understanding. And I think that that's legit. Why not? Like it is what it is, so that we can understand that we are not just a human having a third dimensional experience. We are a part of Source having an experience in every other dimension. And like I say, it's just wherever your soul first became self-actualized, self-realized, individuated. I'm not just Source. I am an individual within the Source, within the collective, is where your soul was born. And that's where you're going to feel like you are from. Now, your soul is going to have to become self-aware on every other level of reality. And that's what Ascension is. And you're right, it's very easy to hijack these concepts and misinform. Because we're humans and we really want to believe that we're going to escape this life. Right? There's so much in the Ascension teachings of getting out of life and getting away from this experience. And it's like, that's not how it works. We're going to evolve this experience. We are grounding these 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th dimensional realities into this. So this is why the ultimate thing is that we're going to unify the dimensions. We're going to have had every experience of separation we could have in every dimension, where we ground who we are, we unify the strand in every dimension. But that, we don't need to worry about that right now. That's what Ascension, the completion of Ascension will be. Being completely self-aware in every dimension and completely aware of our connectivity in every dimension. So there's not unity consciousness here, separation consciousness here, or I'm either in unity consciousness or I'm in separation consciousness, or I'm recognizing myself as a 3rd dimensional being, and then over here I recognize myself as an 8th dimensional being. It's going to be a unification of all of it, so that all of it exists together, and then there's an expansion from there. But that doesn't matter right now. The point being, we are here to have our experience as whatever we are, individuated consciousness, recognizing our unity consciousness. And it's a lot. And like I say, now is the wave for the 8th, 9th, and 10th dimensional people to start to come out of the closet. First thing that you're going to have happen is you're going to recognize and start to connect with your soul family that's not incarnated in this body. So like when this was like a few years ago, I was sitting on my bed doing my meditation, and I connected to these beings that I had never connected with before. So like I said, like before that, my connection was personified as connecting with Jesus. And then it like I say, it was just God, and that's just what I called it. I was just like, and then, like I say, there was just like this moment where I felt like I connected with these people, this group of people. And my first instinct was like, where the fuck have you guys been? Like, that was the feeling. It was like I had been abandoned, I had been left alone, I had been completely isolated, and having this experience and having to live this life without my family guiding me. Because Jesus didn't feel like my family. He didn't feel like it, like he felt like a guide and like a loving presence, and he was teaching me about unconditional love and how that helps our souls evolve, and all of these things that I teach in the mystery school now, and that I teach at all, that the bottom line for Ascension here on the planet is unconditional love. If we can start to tap into unconditional love for ourselves and unconditional love for others, and what that actually means, that is the tool for Ascension. That is the tool for understanding your unity consciousness while at the same time your individuated consciousness, so it's not one or the other. You don't get rid of your ego to have a God experience. You have both at the same time. Unconditional love is the answer. Everything needs to be filtered through the heart. And that's what the earth is awakening to right now. So what does it actually mean to be unconditionally loving with yourself? It means practically what I've been teaching for the entire time I've been teaching. Every part of yourself that you hate, that has been shamed, that has been shadowed, that you think is wrong with you, every addiction, every self-sabotaging part, every part of you is a part of who you are, is a God, is a part of the light that is experiencing what separation feels like. And as we bring this unconditionally loving presence, so we stop judging this thing as wrong, we stop trying to get rid of it, we stop trying to fix it, we stop trying to figure out what it is so we can get it away. And we say, I'm going to be here with this right now. I'm going to love this part of myself. You are good. You are God. What do you need that you're not getting? What are you getting that you don't need? Like, literally like a seed in a garden that's not growing properly. What is wrong in the environment? What's wrong in my thoughts? What's wrong in my perception? What's out of alignment with the truth of reality of who I am, that I'm telling myself this story, that this part of me is bad and this part of me is wrong, that I can't be this, that I can't do that, that's causing the coping and the self, like, it's a self-exploration. That's what it means. So that is all that we really have to worry about here on Earth. All the rest of this stuff is kind of doesn't really matter, because if you can find self-love, if you can start to filter everything that you see and everything that you are through the heart of curiosity, how are you God? How are you a part of the light? Where are you being shadowed, and how is that shadow an illusion? That's it. That's all you need. You don't need any other teaching. You don't need any other help. That's all it is. Okay? But this is part of it. So we are then going to find that, like I say, the 8th, 9th, and 10th dimensional people are going to start to reconnect with their soul families first. They're, as in third wave now. They're going to start to have that connection to these beings. And like in my experience, like I say, they taught me how to do like psychic surgery. They taught me how to get into other people's bodies and move things around and understand where it came from in their lineage and what went on with the mother and the grandmother and all these things, so that this person had this belief about this. And how that's out of alignment with what's going on in real reality, and then basically that's how I wrote my mystery school curriculums. The deep tissue cleansing protocol and the process of awakening protocol are basically like, once you've had that unconditional love experience and you know how to love these parts of yourself, that's like the ayahuasca trip. That's like the magic mushrooms. It blasts you into openness and awareness, and that's a part of it. But if you don't then know how to ground that in and change your actual life to align with how you actually are, what you actually need as a soul, as an individuated consciousness, here within the third dimension with the rules of the third dimension, nothing's going to change. You're going to keep being in pain. So that's basically what that's about. We need both. We need the experience, and then we need the practical grounding. So I wrote the practical tools hoping that people had this experience, but I know that a lot of people haven't had the experience. But anyways, that's the point of that. So now, like I say, the eighth dimensional people are going to start to reconnect with their family. And this is going to be a lot of separation trauma that needs to be healed, that needs to be integrated. Okay? It's going to be really difficult for the 8th, ninth, and 10th dimensional people to feel open to connecting to people who aren't earth angels and aren't Pleiadians, starseeds, because they're used to being the channel. They're used to being the mom. They're used to being the guide. They're used to being on their own and doing it on their own and not really being connected to something outside themselves. Like, it always just feels you're connected, but not to people or guides or a sense that is like you. You're connected to source, right? You have a very open channel. You can bring anything you need to bring through. You've always had that ability. You can see visions, all these things, but you've always been the coach. You've always been the guide. You kind of had to let go of even believing that there was ever going to be someone who could be there for you, who could understand you, who could give you something. And in order to learn what we needed to learn, and in order to become the super strong channels that we are and to own who we are, we had to go through that experience of isolation and separation and being cut off. And now it feels like what we're stepping into is the 8th, ninth, and 10th dimensional people connecting back in with their soul family up in the 8th, ninth, and 10th dimension, but also connecting with the people who are in the 8th, ninth dimensional people who are on Earth, the incarnated people, right? So the angels have been finding themselves through the empath community. You see what I'm saying here? Is this understanding? The angels have been finding themselves for years. And then the starseeds started to find themselves and each other. Now it's time for this new wave of people to come out of the closet and admit that we are the way that we are, that we've been the mothers and the fathers and the guides and the coaches forever, and we're now here to step into our connection and to connect with each other, because now is the time where we're going to skill build in community, where we're going to, so the earth angels have been skill building in community for years. The starseeds have been skill building together for a couple of years. And now it's time for these next wave of people to start skill building together. We've gone through the isolation. We did what we needed to do to be by ourselves. And now it's time to connect. So that's why I'm coming out of the closet. It's time for us to say, okay, this is who I am. I'm here to serve the people. Like, I've been doing my service. I've been living my life. There have been lots of people that have come into my reality that I've done things, and we've had these experiences, and that was part of our thing, but it's all been secret. It's all been in the closet because it wasn't safe to come out before. And the trauma was too deep, and it just wasn't the right time. And now it just feels like it's the right time. So that's why I'm coming out now to say, I want to kind of lead the charge. Like, we're here, and it's our turn now. It's this next wave of people who have been the mothers and the fathers and the guides, the earth angel guides, the Pleiadian guides, the people who have been guiding these people and who gave up on ever having a coach or ever having a mentor or ever having a community of people on the planet. We needed that, but now that time is over. So that's why I wanted to come and talk about this. So the unconditional love is the thing. That it's the only thing. It's the only thing that matters. Is learning to unconditionally love yourself. That's why the Jesus teaching is still so popular on this planet. Like, it's the number one religion. It's being completely hijacked, and we're not understanding it, and we're not getting it. But the metaphor of what Jesus represented to us as humans is unconditional love. That which cannot die, cannot be killed, the light that can't go anywhere. That is what he represents. That is what that myth represents. And this is the point. Okay, this is the point that we all need to get right now. And of course, I feel like you did too, right? And that's the main kind of energy that's here on the planet right now, because unconditional love is the point. So like I say, all the rest of this stuff, the 8th, 9th, 10th dimensional people have been coaching everyone else into unconditional love forever. That's what we've been doing. That's what that connection is. It's this unconditional love. And now we need to step out of the judgment and the fear that things are going wrong and things are going bad and the planet is going down and oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, because that's not true reality. We need to call each other up. That it's not that we ignore things. It's that we just walk the walk. We align. Like, stop apologizing for knowing what you know. Stop apologizing for wanting to live how you want to live. Okay, this is the time. The radical shift that's going to happen on the planet is not going to come from a revolt. We're not going to fight our way there. We're going to unconditionally love ourselves. And what happens when we unconditionally love ourselves is we start to understand what we need to align with the laws of the third dimension, so that we can be in alignment with the structure. So we are no longer breaking ourselves against the structure. That's what self-hate is. It's just taking the God that you are and taking it apart, breaking it down. We can get over that now. Unconditional love says everything that I am is God. How do I figure out what I need? How do I figure out what I want? And watch how that is actually the best thing you can do for everyone around you, the planet. And especially, it's going to be tough, because the best thing you're going to be able to do is you're going to stop being codependent. You're going to stop trying to save people from the results and the consequences of their actions. You're going to stop trying to fix the world, and you're going to realize it's about aligning myself. I am here in the third dimension, and the power that I have, we're not in the 8th dimension. We're not in the 9th dimension. We don't have a hive mind. You can't fix someone else. Not here. You remember being able to do that everywhere else, but that's not a thing here. So you start to take responsibility for yourself. You start to love and integrate all the shadowed aspects of yourself. And this teaches you how to align with what is correct, in the sense of, like I say, there's no wrong here. There's no judgment. You're allowed to be in self-destruction. You're allowed to be in destruction of the planet. We're allowed, obviously. It's happening. But it's painful because it's out of alignment with the structure. So again, unconditional love says you can be in complete chaos, complete self-destruction, complete destruction of everything, and you're still completely worthy of love, because Source is learning through you. We're bringing the talk all back together. If you live a completely chaotic, destructive life, it's totally fine, because Source is going to learn all about what it isn't through you doing that. There's no wrong. But if you want to align, if you want to have an experience of yourself and discover who you really are, and discover what this life is really about, and discover who God really is, you want to align. You want to have an alignment experience. It's not better or worse. It doesn't matter. There's no judgment. It's literally, what do you prefer? Do you prefer a life where you're going to discover yourself and you're going to be a part of the construction of consciousness? Or do you prefer to have a life where you're deconstructing, where you're taking things apart, you're a part of the autopsy. And once you have the awareness that you get to choose, you just get to choose. There's no judgment. But again, it's just what do you want. So that's why I say the one lesson is self-love. Learn to love every single part of yourself. You will understand everything you need to understand as you learn to understand yourself. Every mystery you want to know about the universe. Love yourself. Bring your shadow into light. And you will know, because it's a hologram. You're just a reflection of everything. The more you understand yourself, the more you're going to discover. Okay? So that's that. So all my 8th, 9th, and 10th dimensional people, it's time for us to come out of the closet. It's time for us to unify and to remember each other and to find each other and to heal these deep wounds of abandonment within us that block us from wanting to even connect. Okay? That's the message of this. We're here to now say, okay, hey, we're here. We're this, we're that. We're part of this community. Let's come out of the closet. Let's connect, and let's continue to help. Of course, the Earth Angels find their place. Let's keep having the Starseeds find their place. Everyone's sensitive. Everyone's needs to learn how to cleanse their bodies. Everyone needs to learn how to cleanse their spirits. Everyone needs to learn how to align with what reality is. That's why I wrote all my programs, because this is what this is. It's just the people who want this and who feel connected to this and feel drawn to this. I want to be a support for that, and that's my one goal in life, and that's been my entire life. This is all I've ever done. This is the only person I've ever been. So I'm not coming into this now. This is 31 years of, my mom could tell you, I was born like this. Okay? So that's that. So what if I'm addiction ridden and so far from being cleansed? Love it. It's just that step by step by step. Love that addicted part of you. What do you need? What do you need that you're not getting? What are you getting that you don't need? What are the stories that are telling you that there's something wrong with you? That you need to feel shame and that you need to feel guilt? Because shame and guilt are always lies. And I have a video about that on my YouTube channel. Shame and guilt are always lies. Okay? One step at a time. We love every part of ourselves. That's why I say, come back to the mystery school. I teach you how to do it. It's a slow process. It's like 2 to 3 years to get through that curriculum. But that's what it is. Okay? So we need to bring all these parts of ourselves into light. One step at a time. Love. Love is the answer. Filter it through your heart. Filter it through your heart. Always. Everyone thinks they're the exception. Everybody thinks that they are the exception. Nope. It's not. It's never that. I've never once seen it. 31 years. But like I say, everyone has that story. Everyone thinks, nope, I'm the one that's actually just doing something terrible and I need to learn to act better. Everyone thinks that. Okay. That's enough. I love you all so much. Thanks for being here. And if you're into this, that's cool, because I think it's going to be a lot more like this coming up. We're all finding our niche, and that's me too. So, all my Earth Angels, thank you for being here. Thank you for leading the charge. All my Starseeds, you're amazing. You're so special. Yes, you're sensitive. Yes, you can't eat food like everybody else. Yes, you're all these things. It's cool. And all my 8th, 9th, and 10th dimensional people, we gotta heal the wounds. We gotta join each other. We gotta find our friends. Okay? We're gonna grow together now. We need each other to amplify our skills. We're not gonna keep growing on our own. That's what this is about. Okay? I've made a video about this, and now it will be in my Instagram. I'm gonna post it to my IGTV. Okay? So that's that. I love you all. Thank you for being here. Mwah. See you later.